Hey, good morning, all. Today we have Manjeet for our cybersecurity series. I would have Manjeet to introduce himself. Thanks, Manjeet. Thanks for joining us for this cybersecurity series.
Naveen, very happy to be here.
Cool. So, Manjeet, if you can briefly tell me about your current role and experience in the security industry, more focused on security side. I know you have like vast experience in other things also, but if you can just tell me about your experience, current role, and what you do as part of your day-to-day routine.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, I'm a senior director of product at Salesforce. I think from background, I'm a techie turned into product management and building products for B2B AI space. And as you know, right, AI is all about, a lot of data and what happens. And then so security by default comes into the conversations kind of very early on. And the way kind of I think about it is it should not be an afterthought. It should be from the beginning. And that's what I always try to do when we build product. Being with different companies like ServiceNow, also have experience in startup, building some of those agentic AI and solutions. Another passion I have, I mean, I'll briefly touch on is other than building AI products, I'm also world class at health and fitness. So I practice it daily and try to motivate people to prioritize their health and fitness.
Oh, very nice, very nice. That I can see with your glow that on is on your face. So totally very nice to hear. So yeah, so as you see, right, Gen AI adoption had been getting like so much up in this whole means last 2 years. If you see with Nvidia stocks like piling up like anything, growing like anything, and like last 2 weeks, if you see DeepSeek coming and then coming up with so much buzz around and shaking the whole stock with like 2 trillion going here and there, right? So do you think that this whatever hype or whatever revolution we are seeing with Gen AI, this is going to be like a for long run, or it is just like a something which just keeps coming and it just will go away with some things up and down? And what are your thoughts on that?
Right. No, great question. I think my answer is yes. It is going to stay, and here is why. I'll give you a couple of kind of evidence. And so I think we are way past beyond the initial trend, right? Because there have been different trends in AI over the last 1 decade. They could not stand such a long period of time. So because if you see from the day first chat GPT came to now, right, it's kind of 2 year plus. And the amount of, I think, the investment going into this space, if you look into the VCs world and then the companies, all the big companies, how much investment they are making. Here, what we are talking about it is not just $1 billion, $5 billion. We're talking about $50 billion plus investment from each of these companies. Same kind of momentum I'm seeing across the VCs, the kind of startup that are getting funded all over the board. And the momentum is not slowing down. It is going fast. And you wonder, why is that? Because I think this specifically generative AI feels very transformational from its automation capability. So as an individual, how much kind of productivity I can gain or how much productivity my team can gain and my company can gain, that's one side. The second thing is it is becoming a differentiator because that's where a lot of companies are integrating these APIs and models across different use cases, whether you talk about customer service, sales, marketing, kind of within any particular enterprise, right? You have these team, how they can use these tools as part of their workflow to deliver differentiating feature and capability. And third one is, I think in general, because I always big a fan of, hey, follow where the puck is going. If there's so much investment happening and so many people are trying to solve the problem, which were very difficult to solve earlier, I think it gives the opportunity to so many people. And I'm personally very excited how I use it. And then I think the work I do is I lead the AI platform effort in Salesforce and kind of building this Agentforce agentic layer. And we, when you are in the forefront, you see that, hey, of course there is you can say that there's this extra bubble, but that bubble is there's a lot of reality behind it.
Got it. So as you said in the start of our discussion is like you always keep security with edge with your development. That when you are developing agentic AI, you are taking care of the security from the day one, not like it's a afterthought. So as you are leading this whole agentic AI efforts at Salesforce, so what are the most significant threats that you are seeing with this adoption coming, like when you are developing agentic AI or Gen AI application, what you are developing?
Right, right. Yeah. So see, big companies like us, in fact, for Salesforce, the number one value, every company has values, and our first value is trust. And when you think about trust, and if you're a technology company, first thing comes to is like, hey, I'm giving you my data, I'm giving you my all type of information. I'm a healthcare customer, I'm a banking customer. We also serve the kind of government sector. Is my information secure with you? Can I trust you? So if you take that as a narrative, then I think there's three areas to kind of the potential. I'll generalize it, and we can happy to kind of drill into one of them. So one is around this risk of that your data getting leaked, because the nature of these conversational AI, specifically ChatGPT, Gemini, and others is, and we have some examples, by mistake, or where people is like, hey, you, as part of your prompt, you took your code and, oh my God, the code has some sort of my IP and source code, right? So first is like, how do you protect your company from that sort of mistake, right? Because if you have large employees, like 20,000 plus, it's difficult. So that's new. The second is, I would say, this is the data protection as well, and then the data poisoning, because if, as a company, if you are doing training these models and fine tuning, you want to make sure the data is of high quality, and then data poisoning. So I think one bucket is data. The second bucket is where it comes down to is the sophistication, because see, this security threat has always been there, but the gravity and the nature of it is really kind of scaled up to very, very high. It's very difficult to identify that, hey, is this done by an AI or a real human, right? So I think it's learning curve for everybody else, like as a community. Those gone are those days when you get an email, let's say, hey, some Nigerian person trying to scam you, and you can spot out, oh, they have a spelling mistake in this. No, I mean, LLMs will never make spelling mistakes. Right. So I think this playbook has to evolve, the tool set has to evolve, and then third, which I think area which everybody is more concerned about is kind of the deep fakes side of scenarios, because you have this multimodality, not just the text. Now, let's say if you can really create whether, hey, is Mr. Trump is speaking or somebody else is speaking in a video, how do I differentiate what is real, what is not real? So I think, and now we're talking about agents. One thing that's becoming very pertinent to us is that is, let's say, these AI agents will be everywhere doing different kind of tasks, going to website, doing, let's say, booking flights on your behalf, doing shopping on your behalf, and then. So how do you see whether this human is doing or an agent is doing, right? If you are a e-commerce website owner, you want to see like, should I show the ad to or not, right? If it's not, if it's an agent, there's no point in showing the ad, right?
Totally.
So I think it's different, the details and nuances coming up, and security is of course the forefront, the way I see it.
Very nice. So means you have touched a couple of things which means I had not also thought that, okay, about the like who is looking at your website, right? It's like agents, you don't want to show ads. It's a different perspective, right? So if it's a human, definitely. Otherwise, it's say all waste. People are saying ad, but it's not people. It's the agents who are like really looking into it, and they will not even care whatever you are showing. So yeah,
Right.
pretty good. So as you see, right, security has been there from day one, or I would say it has followed up internet evolution very, very, very closely. So edge, and there are a lot of security multi-billion-dollar companies sitting already there. So what are your thoughts as a AI leader of a Salesforce like company? What are you thinking? What are your thoughts that are existing security solutions enough for the evolution or the new horizon this Gen AI adoption is bringing, or there is something else needs to be done?
Yeah, so I think we have a lot of good solutions out there, but I don't think they are enough. And the reason is, again, like the two main things that I see. The way these new AI modality works is different, right? It's these are problem, non-deterministic systems, and then which is very different than, hey, let's say I'm calling a payment API gateway. I can expect this is my input and this is my output. But in this one, you ask the same prompt, the answer will be different, even if you do
Yeah.
it kind of back to back. So one is, I think this is the nature of these solutions, and that's where these solutions are more creative, they are more generative, they are not just kind of, the knowledge retrieval. So the previous toolchain does not support that sort of, dynamic approach in there, so that has to evolve. And then I think if another way to, if you look at the kind of the AI infrastructure sandwich, where it kind of comes into there are new threat surfaces along that sandwich as well, right? So at the data layer, because now everybody's talking about structured data, unstructured data, vectorization, indexing, and then right, the prompt injection is a completely new term, right? It was not even I think no, I heard it 2 years ago first time, because it's like, hey, you can really, ask these powerful LLMs and get the things that they should not tell you, system prompts. So I think that, and that's where I'm seeing there's two or three innovative approach companies are taking. How do we solve that? There's kind of pure native AI approach. Is like, hey, if LLM is giving basically problem, let's use LLM to detect, right? So LLM as a judge, LLM as kind of, the monitoring engines or your guardrails, and then and at the same time, some of the existing threat surfaces, they are still relevant, right? Because at the end of the day, you will run them in a cloud, you make sure your cloud is secure, you make sure your network infrastructure is secure. I think those foundational elements are same, but these 30-40%, these new requirements that coming into place. So that's where what I'm seeing is existing security providers, they are trying to, hey, how can we be more innovative and become relevant? At the same time, a lot of good startups are also coming at speed. So I think it's a healthy tension, and it's a big market. So I don't think it's like, winner takes all. There isn't a room to make money for everybody.
Got it. So
As long as you, yeah.
totally, totally. So as you are touching more like three things you said, right? One is data is the
Mhm.
major thing. The other one is like the deep fakes, right? So I would like you to, if we can spend more time on how much data and look into data security aspect, because data has been key from like, I mean, I used to work for a company in 2000s, which was data security company, which acquired by McAfee 2008, like long time, right? So data had been there from day one, and with Gen AI evolution, agentic AI coming, data it's getting like more crown jewel, or is like a more focused, and there is a lot more things coming into to attack data and all. So if you can drill down more on the data security aspect, that will be helpful.
Yeah. So one way to look at this is, of course, I mean, our data science team have been building pipeline for, I would say, even all the predictive AI world. But what has changed is the speed at which these things are happening. It's not like, hey, I remember my first project in ServiceNow. One project lasted for almost 18 months because, we had to build the pipeline, we have to build the engineering, the engineering team has to kind of productize it, data science team had to create a model. Now it's a different. I don't even have to worry about many of those things. I can directly call any API, right? And then the cost is going drastically down, and then right. So that was a concern a year ago. Now that concern is gone. And so now, how do you differentiate yourself, right? And one of the best differentiation, at least at the enterprise level, is your data, right? And then the more contextual data you provide to these models, the better the accuracy, the quality, and then the relevancy score will grow. Because you might take kind of a general purpose frontier model like a GPT or Gemini, or uh, they have the knowledge, pretty much world's knowledge, this large model. But then when you put these model into your business use case, let's say customer service, like, can it speak to your industry, like, or at least not industry, your company's taxonomy and your brand and those. So that's where I think you have to continue kind of refresh the data. And most of the companies that start there, they start with feeding their existing knowledge base. Easy use case, so that it can start to answer the frequently asked questions, and then you can put these. And then from their standpoint, then you go to the next stage. Hey, how about can I feed my not just the, let's say, the knowledge base article, but how about some of my HR documents? How about some of my finance documents? So I think that slowly the trust is building, but then everybody's worried. Okay, if I bring this data, is where it is going? Can I track the data lineage back and forth up the down, like say upstream and downstream, for audit purposes and for finding improvement opportunities, and like, hey, do we have knowledge gaps? Why the agent, or let's say your bot, is not able to answer the questions? So I think that's where and then different rules and regulation and compliance you have to be worried about, right? Depending on where you are doing your business. Just in California has their own kind of, so, and then anybody, let's say if you're a startup founder, or, or building it in a large company, some things are known that you have to comply. So those are, I think, most people, let's say as a product person, what I do is, hey, what is the nature of this product? Make sure, we are a multinational company. We'll be selling into, here, Europe and others. So make sure we comply with GDPR and all. So that's given. But then these other threat surfaces, like, data poisoning, I was mentioning earlier, prompt injection scenarios. In fact, one thing that I always teach practitioners is that some of these prompts is your IP now. If they get leaked, it is just like your source code. So you really have to protect them, because if everybody's calling the same API, and then this prompt data is very, very, I would say it is important for you. If you kind of, doesn't matter, people call you, hey, I'm just doing the wrapping on the top. But you need to kind of protect it. And then the other, like, because these are generative system, I care about toxicity, I care about bias. And to me, it's a bucket within, compliance and security, right? But it's a little bit of not just protect the data. Is the data is of high quality? Because if it gives a wrong response, it's my brand is at stake, or I'm inviting lawsuits, let's say in case of some finance and legal use cases.
Got it. So, pretty good thoughts, Manjeet, on this. So, as you see, right, you are at starting of our conversation. You said that you always keep security as like one of the major things when you are developing AI agentic solutions or any solutions as per. So, what strategies do you recommend leaders or organizations to stay ahead of these adversarial AI attacks? So that you might be also taking care when you are developing those solutions.
Right. Yeah. So I think about the test strategy very early on. And then there's two questions comes out of from there, that how do you ensure that your system is largely safe from adversarial attack? Some companies have red teaming, kind of, let's say in our organization, we have a team which kind of dedicated for these adversarial kind of scenarios and red teaming support. So I have support system around that. And then we work with those team to simulate those scenarios for what the solution, let's say our agents we are building, and make sure the agent is able to pass those, or fail wherever it's supposed to fail. So it's like a lot of positive test cases, and also same kind of a lot of negative test cases, trying to break the systems, like prompt injection scenarios or these kind of hallucination scenarios, which are also very, very critical to if you're I would say startup and don't have like resources like big company, I think it's still doable. One way I think about it is when you are looking at your product, you see what eval I should create, right? In terms of, think of when I say eval, your evaluation criteria, and then your testing. Mistake people make is let's say, hey, I called the API, it's working now, and I tested with few prompts, and I think I'm ready. No, you are not ready. You need to think about all the different scenarios or questions, and then and the good thing is the the superpower of LLM is, let's say, like, hey, how can I'm not a like super subject matter expert in all the areas. You can use the LLM to create those scenarios, right? Synthetic data, review and then test. And then I would say having the right eval and then doing a lot of iterations early on when you are at the design, building this out. That's where I've seen, we were able to build better quality products because, and you build the confidence, right, for yourself and for your customer also. Give that little bit of tool chain for your customers to test as well. Maybe, in your playground, prompt playground, or maybe, batch testing scenarios. It's the same practice, but I think if you compare with the traditional B2B software, the scenarios were less. As I was saying, hey, the input goes this and output comes this, less scenarios. Here's the permutation combination is a large one.
Cool.
So that's, I think, the number one. And the second thing is, as a product person, I encourage my PMs to have this like in the PRD and then acceptance criteria and then not like afterthought.
Makes
Uh,
sense.
yeah, I think these two, and then rest is best practices. When code is written, you make sure there's a lot of good automated code checker as well. Like, hey, is your code fully hardened or not? And then those practices are same. I think it's, but you shouldn't kind of skip, and then get surprised by some of those data leak scenarios.
Cool. Uh, all good thoughts, Manjeet. Thank you. So, as you said, more about how the data practitioners should be using, how the usage wise should be. But as a company like us, we Swift Security, and as you said, there are startups working on already securing this, and there needs to be startups because there's a lot to do, a lot new exposures coming with Gen AI. So, what advice would you give to cybersecurity startups like us, which are focusing on Gen AI, safely enabling Gen AI adoption with agentic AI coming into? So, what things we should focus on, what things we should be doing more? As you know, startup comes with like a smaller teams, not like we have like hundreds of people, but very small team, but needs a focus effort to go and tackle this issue.
Yeah, I would say you have to be, because as a startup, you want to move fast, but how you can be a little bit of like scrappiness, but at the same time have some of these elements as, even I would say, before you put out your first alpha release or not. Very important if you're building enterprise facing product to begin with, because and then I would say that a lot of founders get a little bit of, the find it overwhelming is, oh, there's like 20 compliance requirement. Which one should it's too much, and maybe some of them require a lot of money also. I would say just prioritize in a bucket of 2 or 3 to begin with, because the important for you as a startup founder is to take the most important piece that is needed. Let's say if you are talking to a couple of companies in, let's say, California, and trying to sell it in here, make sure that part. Otherwise, they will not be able to take your product and move beyond POC. So I think it just depends on the type of product you are building. A lot of it comes down to best practices as well. So partner with your early, let's say, the customers who are ready to POC with you, and give them the confidence that, hey, this is how the data flow. Make sure you share it more transparently, and also share your roadmap. Because so that even if something is, let's say, is not in the, hey, no, by the time you will get ready for GA, we will have it in the product. And let's say it's very obvious that you start a product, you're like, hey, I don't have an on-prem installation for you, for example. If some customer says, I want to run it in my VPC, and then, no worries, the team is working on 2 months come in, but let's finish the POC. So that's an example of really not slowing down, and at the same time, picking up those 1 or 2, and then and make progress. So that would be my advice.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks, Manjit. It was really fun and informative talking to you. I really appreciate giving us time. Thank you.
Awesome, Naveen. Good to chat. Thanks.